This is my Pyramid Head helmet, and as you can see, I cannot see out of it. So, how do I get around in this costume? I recently took this to Sci-Fi ValleyCon, and the #1 question I was asked, how do you see? My solution doesn't just pertain to this helmet, but to any costume with limited visibility. So, how do I see out of this helmet? This right here. This is an endoscopic camera. You can buy these off of Amazon for about $15 to $20. And the best part, they hook up to your phone. On the inside of the helmet, I made a phone case and a mount for my phone. I plugged the endoscopic camera into my phone, opened up the app, and then my phone acts as a display for what's in front of me. They also sell a whole unit with its own dedicated display if you're willing to spend a little bit more money. To save on battery, I made sure I kept my phone in airplane mode, also so I wouldn't get disturbed while using it. From my experience, on a full charge, my phone lasted about 4 hours. I also made sure to unplug the camera and turn the phone off whenever I wasn't using it, if I was taking my helmet off or whatever. I also had a second phone. This is my older phone that I was using, and when I'd swap them back and forth, I had some backup batteries recharging the phones in between. So between the two, I'd say I had about 8 hours of battery life for my display. A couple things to note about the camera before installing. It's hard to tell here from looking, but the wire is actually very rigid. So you can bend it in shape before actually permanently installing it in your cosplay. One important thing to note though, before installing this in your cosplay, you need to make sure that you actually have your video at the proper angle. Let me use something else as an example, because that is so tiny. This is one of my backup batteries. Before installing it, what you want to do, plug your camera into your phone and then rotate your camera until your image is level. Once you have your image level on your camera, take a marker and just mark the very top of the camera. That way you know that that is the top dead center, and you know then your angled orientation for your camera. That way when you go to install it, your image isn't cockeyed, or worse, upside down. Then just make sure that when you install your camera into your costume, that line you drew is facing up. That way you know then your display is nice and level. A couple things from my personal experience with using this. There's not a lot of lag in the actual video display. Because I was using two different phones, this one is very old. The only real difference I noticed between the two was a frame rate issue. On my old phone, it seemed to run at a very low frame rate. I'm gonna say like 15-ish in that range. It was very choppy, but it was enough for me to be able to see where I was going. My brand new phone, it ran at least 30 FPS. It was insanely smooth the whole time. The only major issue I had was a view distance issue. So my head is here and the camera is about here. So the camera was about a good 1.5 feet away from me. So the issue I was running into was that everything appeared closer than it actually was. So there's a lot of times where I'm actually walking, putting my hands out, thinking I'm close to something and I'm still far away. Another major issue, not really major, but an issue, these cameras are meant for sticking them down a drain pipe or in an engine cylinder. They're meant to look at things up close. So their focal lens is already preset to something very close. So what you'll see then is anything real close to you will be in focus. So someone standing in front, in my case, it was mostly just my wife. But anything farther out will be blurry. Not blurry enough that you can't make out where where things are or where you're at. It would be the equivalent of just walking around with your glasses off. Is it cumbersome? A little bit, but it's not disorienting. I walked fine throughout the convention center the entire day. I had no issues whatsoever. That said, I did not try to take stairs or escalators. I took the elevator if I had to go up or downstairs. Everything else was nice, flat and level, so I didn't have any issues there. I made sure I lifted my feet up high enough if I knew there was anything slightly bumpy, like in a parking garage. But other than that, everything was fine. The only steps I did have to take was getting off of the costume contest stage. But anyway, this was a very quick rundown of how I see in this helmet. If you have a costume that's also very limited in visibility, I highly recommend this option, especially if you have an old junk phone laying around. It's very beneficial, and even if you do have the ability to see, you could also use this method as a backup cam. Kind of get a better idea of your surroundings, or if you can't see below a certain point, have that. Gives you the extra room to see stuff. If you are interested though in this helmet in particular, I have a full build video on this with a free template to make this thing. I have one more video to go to cover the actual rest of the costume, but the videos for the helmet and the knife actually are all out. So I'll link that stuff in the description, or just go to my channel and check that all out. Till then, I'll see you in the next one. Later.